if I wait.
Scene 1. A playground at an elementary school, April 2001. Henry, age 11, runs around the playground.
Heathcliff! Heathcliff! Where are you, Heathcliff? You are my love, my life. Be with me always. Take any form, drive me mad. Only do not leave me in this abyss where I cannot find you. Oh God, it is unutterable. I cannot live without my life. I cannot live without my soul. Heathcliff! Heathcliff!
Aaron, age 11, enters.
Catherine, Catherine, you teach me how cruel you've been, cruel and false. Why did you despise me? Why did you betray your own heart, Kathy? I have not one word of comfort. You deserve this. You have killed yourself.
Oh, Heathcliff, Lyndon couldn't love me as much as you can. My love for Lyndon is like the foliage in the wood. Time will heal it. I'm well aware of the winter changes the tree. My love for you resembles the eternal rock beneath, a source of visible delight, but necessary. Kiss me, Heathcliff.
Can we play something else?
No. Kiss me, Heathcliff.
I don't want to.
I don't care. Kiss me, Heathcliff. Ow!
I told you I didn't want to.
You didn't have to push me like that.
You also don't kiss people when they don't want to be kissed.
I wasn't really going to kiss you. I was going to pretend to kiss you.
Don't you want to play kickball instead?
No, I'd rather play Wuthering Heights. If you like, I could play Heathcliff and you can play Kathy. She has all the better lines anyway.
I don't want to play Kathy.
Okay, then what do you want to play? We could play Jane Eyre or Pride and Prejudice or The Test of d'Urberville. Or what about Oliver Twist? That doesn't involve kissing.
I said I wanted to play kickball.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You asked if I wanted to play kickball. I said no. You did not indicate in the sentence that you actually wanted to play kickball.
Well, I do.
And I don't.
Why not?
Kickball's boring. And I always kick the ball too hard, and someone always catches it, and I always get out.
I told you gotta kick it softly. Then they have to actually run and get the ball, and by the time you reach it, you're already at first base.
That's when I get foul balls.
That's because you kick it too far to the side. Come on, I can teach you.
No, I want to play Wuthering Heights.
We're not going to play Wuthering Heights today. We're going to play kickball.
Says who?
Says I. I don't want to play games about books I haven't read before.
You've seen the movies, though.
Yes, that's all we watch whenever I come here.
I thought you liked them.
I do.
So why do we continue playing?
Because everyone else laughs at us. You know that, right?
I do know, and I don't care. They're all imbecilic anyway.
They think we're boyfriends.
But you have a crush on Catherine Steinhardt.
Well, she and others think we're like going out, like on dates.
I don't understand how anyone could think that.
Really?
Yes.
Do I really have to explain this to you?
Yes.
Catherine and Heathcliff are going out, right?
Not exactly.
And Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy are going out, right?
Again, not exactly.
And Tess and Angel are going out, right?
They get married, and he leaves her, so no, not exactly.
But they all love each other, right?
Catherine and Heathcliff do. Elizabeth and Darcy hate each other at first, but then they do after she sees how big and fancy his house is. Tess and Angel do, but he doesn't like that she's done it with other men before, even though she did it with Alec against her will.
Okay, but you get my point, right?
No, none of those characters are going out.
That's not what... We play games where people love each other, so other people think that we love each other. You and I.
But I do love you, Aaron. You're my best friend.
But I mean the other kind of love.
Like the ones my parents had before my dad left?
Yeah.
I love you that way too, Aaron.
What?
I dare not tell you because I feared how it would impact our friendship, and because you had a crush on Catherine Steinhardt, but I do love you, Aaron, most ardently.
So you want to actually kiss me?
I've thought about it, but I dare not. However, I was going to give you a gift. Your own copy of Wuthering.
Aaron slams the book to the ground.
You know the only reason we were friends was because my mom made me? I never wanted to be friends with you. All these games we played were stupid, and you're stupid. Don't talk to me again, you retarded faggot.
Scene 2. A private library in a very nice summer home in upstate New York, July 2017.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize anyone was in here. Enjoying the book?
Oh, I apologize. I was waiting to reach the end of the chapter. I don't like stopping books in the middle of chapters because I don't like the feeling of something being incomplete. Hello. I'm reading Vanity Fair by William Makepeace Thackeray.
Hi there. Hey, wasn't that a movie with, what's her face?
Reese Witherspoon.
Yes! I saw that a while ago. Kind of boring, I thought.
Yes, that version is terrible. There are a lot of other miniseries adaptations with it that are much better. I also saw a stage adaptation of it earlier this year.
Cool.
The book was released in 1848 in a 19-part serialized version with the subtitle Pen and Pencil Sketches of English Society, and then it was published in one volume. It had the subtitle Novel Without a Hero.
You know a lot about it.
Yeah. Victorian era is my favorite literary era. I'm actually getting my PhD in 19th century British literature from Columbia University.
Ooh, fancy. I barely got my bachelor's degree.
You mean you got your bachelor's degree? Either you did or you didn't.
I mean, I did, but not like with any of those Latin
I got cum laude for my bachelor's degree in English. I went to Montclair State University in New Jersey. Then I got my master's in English at Columbia, which I just said is where I'm currently getting my PhD in 19th century British literature.
Nice. So you're into like Jane Austen or?
Jane Austen was actually Regency era. King George was supposed to rule, but no one wanted him to, so his son ruled as regent. That's when someone rules in the stead of someone whom is technically ruling. That was from 1811 to 1820 when Queen Victoria took over. Jane Austen published her first novel, Sense and Sensibility, in 1811, right when the Regency era was starting. When she was published Emma in 1815, a book with the main character whom she said no one but her would much like, the Prince Regent decided to give her the honor of dedicating it to him, but she didn't like him because he was a pompous idiot. So she wrote a dedication to him saying, "To His Royal Highness, the Prince Regent, this work is by His Royal Highness's permission, most respectfully dedicated by His Royal Highness's most dutiful and obedient servant, the author." Which is hilarious. Everyone thought it was a huge insult to the Prince Regent, but yes, I'm into Jane Austen.
Okay.
I'm actually writing my dissertation about her. Well, about her writing. It's called The Spectrum of Austen, Portrayal and Presence of Autistic Characters in the Novel of Jane Austen.
Nice.
You know, whenever I go to one of these parties, I feel like I'm at a Jane Austen-esque party at the ball.
Oh.
Except there are more people having sex.
Oh.
You have your belle of the ball, the people all the men want to dance with. In this particular context, the strapping man every guy wants to have intercourse with. You have your wallflowers who are socially awkward and always wait to get asked to dance. In this context, the wallflowers are the one waiting for someone to ask them to sleep with them. And then you have the ones who hate balls and would have rather stayed home but couldn't because their parents dragged them out hoping to finding a potential suitor, which is me, which is why I'm here in this library.
Wait. Your parents brought you here?
Oh no, my roommate Raji did. He's off with a young man whose blue hair is thinning out. I only had sex once. He was inside me, which I didn't like. It didn't provide much comfort for me. I think I'd rather be inside someone, but I haven't tried it yet.
Right. Well, I'll let you get back to your reading, I guess.
No, please stay. I'll enjoy the company while Raji's finishing up with that young man with the blue hair. Besides, I've read this book 12 times. That wasn't meant to be a joke. I really have read it 12 times.
I know. I just, you say it so matter-of-factly. I'm sorry, what was your name?
My name is Henry Sullivan.
Joseph.
Will you not shake my hand? I must ask, are you sure you would rather not be upstairs with another young man?
I've had my fair share of that. I came down for a break, actually.
Is this where you cut down to take your break?
Yeah. Unspoken rule of this house is that this room is off limits to any sex-related act.
How do you know that?
Because this is my house.
Wait a moment.
Yeah. This is my summer home, basically.
So I've been reading in your library.
Technically, my uncle, this is actually his summer house, but he's spending the summer in the Hamptons this year, so I'm using it.
Does he know that there are men having sex with each other?
Nothing he hasn't done in his heyday.
That was meant to be a joke.
I'm sorry. Must have went like, woo, right over my head.
That happens a lot. My mother says I have a very historic sense of humor.
Well, eccentric, definitely.
No, eccentric means slightly strange. Historic means specific to a certain country or region, or in this case, a certain people.
You know your vocabulary.
I know. I like to use it when I meet people for the first time. It helps me determine if they're imbeciles.
What category do I fall into?
Not an imbecile so far.
Good.
Have you read any of these books? Which one's your favorite?
None of them.
None. But there are so many.
I know. I mean, I like looking at them, just never had any interest in reading them.
You should. There are some marvelous titles on these shelves.
I'm sure, but my interest usually lies elsewhere.
By elsewhere, do you mean sex?
Maybe.
You're very handsome, Joseph.
Thanks. May I touch you?
Where?
Just in general.
Are you gonna put yourself inside of me?
Only if you want me to.
I don't.
Then I won't. But can I touch you?
I'd like to know where.
Your shoulder.
Okay.
Your neck.
Okay.
Your chest.
Okay.
Your waist.
No.
Okay. Your face.
Okay. I haven't
Having what?
even gone out on a date with you.
Does that mean we can't kiss each other?
It means I wouldn't mind going out on a date with you.
Sorry.
Raji, I thought you were still with that gentleman with the blue hair.
No, we finished like an hour ago. I was hooking up with someone else. You too busy, or?
Actually, I was about to check on upstairs. So, having fun, Raji?
Yeah.
It was nice to meet you, Joseph.
Gee, Henry, you go to the library and the men are flocking to you. Hope I didn't ruin any sexual tension.
You certainly did.
Sorry. I was going to suggest we leave, but if you want to stay, I totally get it.
Do you think I should?
Up to you. But I'm pretty sure you'll see Joseph around at another party this weekend.
But I know not whether he'll show up to one.
Well, in that case, you stay and wait for him.
I don't want to have to go back to the cabin by myself. Not at that time of night.
Okay, then come back to the cabin with me.
But what if he comes back here?
Well, whatever happens, happens, Henry, whether you stay or go.
Then I'll go, for I'm growing rather weary. But I do hope that Joseph and I shall meet again. I told him I wouldn't mind going out on a date with him. He did respond, but perhaps next time I see him, I'll sure he'll agree to one. What is it, Raji? Why are you silent?
Nothing.
Is it Joseph? Does he have some scandalous secret like an insane lover hidden in the attic?
No, nothing like that. I think.
Then what is it?
Joseph is... Okay, when you said the whole thing about going on a date with him and he didn't respond, that most likely means he doesn't want to go on a date with you.
Most likely.
Yeah, I mean, for all I know, he might, but from what you're saying, I don't think so.
Oh.
Yeah, he isn't really the kind who dates, You know what I mean? He's a bit of
Rapscallion?
I wouldn't call him that. More like
More like, please finish your sentence.
like he plays the field, a lot.
I see.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Henry. I don't mean to be a downer. I just don't want you to get your hopes up for something that probably won't happen. Hey, let's go back to the cabin, okay?
Henry places the copy of Vanity Fair back on the bookshelf and follows Raji out the door. Scene 3, 1998. Marion, Henry's mother, and Henry, age 8. They are watching the Gwyneth Paltrow version of Emma. Marion holds up a VHS of a Buzz Lightyear movie.
You sure you don't want to watch Buzz Lightyear?
Yes, I'm sure.
How can an 8-year-old be interested in this? Can you even understand what they're saying?
Yeah, they're speaking English. Why wouldn't I understand them?
Are you even following the story?
Henry pauses the movie.
Yes, the blonde girl's name is Emma. She was able to get her nanny married, so she thinks she can get other people married. So she tries to get her friend Harriet to marry to the pastor, but the pastor really wants Emma. And Mr. Knightley doesn't like how Emma is forcing other people to get married because she's playing with fate. But Emma keeps trying anyway, so she...
You can follow all that? That's remarkable.
Not really. I just pay attention to the movie.
Henry resumes the movie.
You know there's a book version of this, right?
I know. I read it.
Really?
Yes, I checked it out at the library. You were with me, remember?
You check out so many books, I never know what you're reading.
Oh, yes. I checked out Emma 5 times. I'll probably take it out a 6th time when we go to the library tomorrow.
Must be your favorite book then.
No, that's The Woman in White.
Oh, yes, I remember you reading that.
It's a mystery set in Victorian England about a man who meets a woman dressed in white who thinks it's a ghost, but...
Shh. Let's just watch the movie.
You aren't even enjoying it.
Well, you did such a good job summarizing the plot.
I wasn't even close to where we were in the movie, so Emma tries to keep getting Harriet with...
I'll catch up to it. Thank you.
I wasn't finished.
Henry, let me watch the movie.
But you said...
Shh. We talked about this at dinner, Henry. Social cues. When someone says shush, that means be quiet.
But...
Listen to my tone, Henry. Do I sound like I want to talk or watch the movie?
Watch the movie.
All right, then.
The character in The Woman in White is named Marion. That's your name, too.
Scene 4. A cabin in upstate New York, the evening after Scene 2. Henry is in his bed reading Great Expectations. Raji is sitting in his bed in his underwear. He faces a laptop.
So in conclusion, if someone is pressuring you into bareback or anything else you're uncomfortable with, it's okay to say no. You will not be offending the other guy if you do. And if he is offended, then he's not worth it to begin with. Remember, one night of awesome sex is not worth waking up with something that you'll have to live with for the rest of your life. I'm Raji, and thank you for watching this episode of Out and Around Sex and Dating Tips for Gay Men. If you want more sex and dating tips, click any of the videos below and be sure to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Until next time, be sexy, but most important, be safe. Bye. You think this...
I'm almost done with this chapter.
Oh.
You may speak now.
Does this underwear look good on me?
It accentuates your covered and uncovered part tremendously.
You could have just said yes. Didn't have to be so ostentatious.
An exemplary use of your vocabulary.
Why, thank you. Did I tell you it got me laid last night? told this guy with blue hair that his hair looked very ebullient. He was flattered because he recognized me from my YouTube channel. Then he
proceeded to give you a most pleasurable blowjob. Yes, Raji, you already regaled me with this story.
Maybe if he is one of those BDSM people, I could use the word bellicose on them.
I would like to simultaneously watch and not watch the result of that exchange.
You should start getting ready too.
Do you think Joseph will be there? I haven't perished the thought of possibly meeting him again all day.
You know, there are going to be other guys who will more than likely want to hook up with you.
I don't want to hook up. I want to continue my conversation with Joseph.
No offense, but why are you still hung up on him?
I still take offense to you asking that question. That was meant to be a joke. But if you must know, it's because he talked to me, Raji, something that most men fail to even attempt.
Ken bothered to talk with you.
And he turned out to be an imbecile. Joseph might not be an imbecile. In any case, I shall not be going out with you tonight if you cannot guarantee Joseph's presence.
You know I can't, Henry.
Then I shan't come out with you. I'm going to stay in and catch up on my summer reading.
Henry, I brought you upstate to get laid. By a human. Not by books.
I much prefer books to humans. I find them more engaging and trustworthy company.
No. Well, I hope you remember your place.
Page 168, third paragraph, 7th line.
Really?
Yes.
You're no fun.
Yes, I am, under the proper circumstances. Joseph didn't respond when I told him I want to go out on a date with him. It's customary to respond to something like that. I would like to see him so I can get a response to that question.
It's also not customary to turn down party invites based on who will be there or not. Just come out and have a good time, and maybe Joseph will be there. If so, great. But if not, you know, I have a video about this on my channel, about what happens when a guy, isn't at a party or whatever.
Yes, I remember. You say to focus on meeting other people because you never know, or rather whom, you'll be missing.
Exactly.
I don't want to meet other people. Perhaps you can understand my feelings and permit me to stay in tonight.
Okay, well, say we go out, and Joseph is there, and you talk to him, and he ends up not wanting to go out on a date with you. Just theoretically, know that I'll be here for you. Shoulder to cry on and all that. But you'll never know unless you come out.
And even worse, he could not be there at all.
All right. Our lift is here. Are you coming out?
No.
All right, but if you missed the love of your life tonight, don't blame me.
I won't.
Scene 5, March 2009. A dorm room. Ken is on his bed, anxious. Henry looks at the books on Ken's shelf.
Stare at my books long enough?
No, I'm just judging you. I judge everyone by their books.
That the only thing?
No, but it's the main one.
Yeah, well, I didn't spend nearly as much time looking at your books last week.
Give me a second, please. I'm almost done.
I've been staring at them for...
5 minutes and 55 seconds.
I was going to say 10 minutes.
You were wrong. Nope, nothing interests me.
Henry goes to Ken on the bed. Ken kisses Henry. Henry doesn't respond. Ken tries to get Henry to kiss him back. Instead, Henry pulls away.
You don't have any British book from the 19th century on your shelf.
Yeah.
Have you read any?
I'm an English major. Duh.
What's your favorite?
I only have one. Not really into those novels.
Ken tries to kiss Henry. Henry pulls away.
Mine right now is The Tenant of Whitfield Hall by Anne Bronte. It used to be The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins.
Cool.
I say right now because it could change. It usually changes on a day-to-day basis. Anne Bronte is not as well known as the other two because Charlotte hated her and her book. Actually, people think that Jane Eyre was the first book to talk about the whole governess place of Victorian England, but actually...
Shut up and kiss me.
Ken kisses Henry. Henry pulls away.
Anyway, Anne wrote Agnes Grey first, which was pretty much the same plot, except not as long. Some people think that Charlotte poisoned her sisters. I don't know if this is true, but either way, Charlotte didn't like Anne and didn't think the tenet of Whitfield Hall was worth preserving. She literally wrote that the subject matter was a mistake.
Have you read anything that wasn't written in the Victorian era?
Of course, Ken. I've read everything my elementary, middle, and high schools assigned me to read.
Okay, I mean, not for school.
Yes.
Like what?
Biographies of Victorian writers, mainly.
Okay, I mean, other books written by authors who are still alive.
No.
Really? Outside of school, you've never read a book by an author who wasn't living in the Victorian era?
Well, technically, Jane Austen was Regency, not Victorian.
I mean, after 1900 or whatever.
1901.
What?
Queen Victoria died on January 22nd, 1901. Therefore, the Victoria era ended in 1901.
Okay, but I'm saying there are a lot of other books out there. You're missing out. Andrew Halloran, Willa Cather, James Baldwin, Toni Morrison, Edmund White.
I'm not interested in reading them.
So you'd rather read, like, Wuthering Heights for the umpteenth time.
68.
Dude. Okay, let me just...
Ken goes to his bookshelf and pulls out a copy of Morris by E.M. Forster and hands it to Henry.
Maurice.
No, it's Morris.
I know this author. We read Howard's End for my AP English class in high school. I didn't like it.
I think you'll like this one. He wrote it in, like, 1912 about a gay guy who was in love with a man, but it wasn't published until, like, a year after he died. It was, like, illegal to be gay in England until 1967. Like, people could be executed for it. Or, rather, men could be executed for it. Queen Victoria didn't believe that lesbians existed, so they were exempt from being executed. Which makes me wonder if Queen Victoria was possibly a lesbian herself.
She was not! She and Albert were very much in love.
Sure, but it's possible for a woman to love in love with a guy to love like other women, right?
It is, but not Queen Victoria.
That's a theory of mine.
It's wrong.
Anyway, so E.M. Forster wrote that book, and he really wanted to give it a happy ending, but apparently the age-old rule that gay people have to be miserable and die at the end of their stories was in effect then, so we couldn't publish it.
Oscar Wilde was gay, too.
Yeah, and he was put on trial for it.
1895.
Yeah, and that happened less than 20 years before Morris was written. Anyway, it's really interesting. If you want to borrow it, go for it. I think the library has a copy, too.
No, thank you. I already know that being gay was horrible back then, and I don't need to be reminded of it.
But you're gay. Don't you want to know your history?
You spoke about how gay men were executed under Queen Victoria's rule. I've known that for a long time.
Okay, I'm sorry, but how can you have no interest in this? You're gay.
Do not judge me for my interest, thank you very much. Just because I'm gay doesn't mean I'm required to only like gay things.
But you like Oscar Wilde.
Because he wrote hilarious comedy manners. His homosexuality did not impact what I think of his writing.
So you don't think him being gay had anything to do with his writing?
No.
Okay, that's a long discussion I'm not willing to have right now.
Me neither.
Ken takes Morris from Henry and places it on the shelf.
In that case, why don't I find you something else?
To be blunt, I'm not interested.
I'll find you something by an author who's actually alive. Oh, there's this really good memoir that...
I don't read memoir.
Ken pulls out a book.
Okay, you have to at least give this book a shot. Seriously, it blew my mind in terms of what literature can do or should be.
Should be?
Yeah.
Literature just needs to tell a good story that discusses the societies in and speak to other societies in the future. That's all that literature needs to do.
Okay, you think it can't do anything else? Like bring about social change?
It can bring about awareness, yes. Charles Dickens did that all the time.
Oh my God, I hate Dickens. We had to read Tale of Two Cities in high school. Why teach that anymore? Too many subplots, too many characters.
That's actually my favorite of his.
Sorry, but you gotta admit it's a lot.
I was able to comprehend it. You were not. And that's okay. You don't have to understand everything.
Wow. That's like... You're impossible. You know that? This whole night, you've really just been...
Really been... Please, finish your sentence.
I'm going to do the nice thing and not finish it. You're not going to read that book, are you?
I said I wasn't interested. You're the one trying to shove it down my throat.
Like, you're trying to shove this 19th century shit down my throat.
Ken takes his book back from Henry and replaces it on the shelf. Henry then pulls out a copy of Wuthering Heights from his pocket.
So I don't suppose you would want this.
What? No, you really thought after all was going on tonight, I'd want that?
It's one of the most romantic books I've ever read. I figured we could possibly...
I can't believe. So after completely rejecting every book I recommend to you, you'd think I'd want to read something you recommend?
It's a classic.
I read it in high school. It sucked. But get the hell out of here.
Henry puts the book back in his pocket and exits. Scene 6. The cabin in upstate New York, July 2017. Later that night, Henry is lying in his bed. We can't tell if he's sleeping. The door opens.
That freaking asshole had no right to...
No.
right.
No, he didn't.
like he calls me a stalker. He's been at every party I've been to this weekend. And what does that say about him? Didn't he realize it's just a coincidence?
You need water. Can I turn on the lights?
We shouldn't wake Henry.
I'm already up.
Oh, shit.
Joseph turns on the light. Henry sees him and immediately gets out of bed.
Hello again, Joseph.
You remembered my name.
Yes, I have a great facility for names and faces.
I blame you for tonight, Henry.
Joseph gets a bottle of water for Raji.
You made me go out alone, face my asshole of an ex, and alone. And just not any ex of mine, Jackson.
Drink.
But look, who was also there. Didn't I tell you that you never know? He would be there if you didn't come out with me, and now he's here. He was kind enough to take me home.
Drink your water.
Raji drinks his water. He flings himself backwards on his bed.
So Jackson was like, "You're stalking me." And I'm like, "No, I'm here to have a good time like you. And you're the one who cheated on me." And he's like, "Maybe if you weren't such a slut, I wouldn't have." And then it's like, you slept with a girl behind my back. Doesn't that make you the slut?
Water. Drink.
And then he's like, "It's not cheating if it's a girl." I'm like really pissed off at this point. Like, I really loved this guy. But now he's just like calling me a stalker, even though we've been on and off since fucking college. And now he's like telling everyone I'm a stalker. I'm not. I'm just like, I'm getting with other people like he did. And it's like, it'd be great to feel like free and just like get with other people whenever I want and like not have to feel guilty about it. Like, you know.
Henry takes out a copy of Jane Eyre.
Oh, you're going to read to me. How sweet, Henry. You're so sweet.
And if I have loved him less, then I should have thought his accent and look of exaltation savage. But, sitting by him, roused from the nightmare of parting, called to the paradise of union, I thought only of the bliss given to me to drink in a so abundant a flow.
I love it when you read to me, Henry. Don't stop reading to me. Don't stop.
Again and again he said, "Are you happy, Jane?" And again I answered, "Yes." After which he murmured, "It will atone. It will atone."
Do you do that every time he comes in drunk?
If I'm not asleep, which I'm usually not, but yes.
That's sweet.
Raji and I have been roommates since junior year of college.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, my roommate junior year decided he didn't want to room with an Aspie, and Raji's roommate was really homophobic. We met at a roommate mixer on our campus, and the next thing I knew, he was my roommate.
Aspie.
Asperger's syndrome. I'm autistic.
Oh, okay. Actually, I figured, but I didn't want to say anything.
Yes, diagnosed at age 3 when I wasn't speaking as early as other children.
I see. So, you and Raji still live together?
Yes. He moved to New York for work. I was moving to New York for graduate school, and we decided to get an apartment together. It's worked for the most part. He brings home a lot of guys, but I don't mind. He once said that if I wasn't his roommate, he would ask me out. He was very drunk when he said that, but you know what they say. A drunk man's word or a sober man's truth.
Did you two ever
Please finish your sentence?
have sex?
No. We never had intercourse. There was a time I wanted to, but we concurred it would make our cohabitation too awkward.
I see. You ever watch his YouTube channel, or?
Yes, I've seen every episode because Raji asked me to, but I don't care about them. They're for people who have sex life. I don't have a sex life. I'm not interested in sex. Usually. I'm not usually interested in sex.
I see. My brother is autistic, actually, but he's like really bad. He can't speak or take care of himself. My parents have to make sure they have 24/7 care for him.
Sounds severe.
Yeah. We love him, but it gets frustrating with him sometimes. And he can't tell, obviously, which is like really sad to me.
What's his name?
Ian,
Is he older or younger?
older by 4 years. My parents didn't want to have another kid in case I was autistic too, but they did, and here I am. He used to be my best friend, and then I got other friends, and we just kind of stopped.
Do you ever wish he was normal?
What kind of a question is that?
My mother wishes I were normal. She doesn't say it outright, but she wishes I were more like boys who didn't have Asperger's. I wish I adhered to social cues more, but as the old saying goes, I believe in marching to the beat of my own drum. I don't assume your brother does.
I don't think that really crosses his mind.
I apologize. That was tactless.
It's fine. It's fine. I've heard people say worse about him. Can I ask, what's it like to have Asperger's or like autism in general?
It feels like sometimes I feel like there's a light switch inside of me. Like when I think of Jane Austen or the Bronte sisters or Charles Dickens, it's always flipped upward for those subjects and people. And it's a big light switch, so it takes up a lot of space. But it's hard to turn off because when it gets turned off, there's nothing. I talk to other people or see other people talking, and I can tell they have all light switches too, of varying sizes. They have the ability to flip these switches on and off, flip multiple switches at once. They rarely go dark because if one light switch off, they can always turn on another. There's never darkness nor nothingness in them. Whereas me, I only have the one. But when I can turn my switch on, I engage with people again until I have to turn it off again. Sometimes I'd give anything to have access to every light switch possible. But then I think about what these authors have given us, stories that still reach out and resonate, even from a time when people like me would have been in prison or executed or put in an asylum, stories that still have something to say. And you really want people to listen to what they have to say. And you get so exasperated and flabbergasted when they don't that you can't help but want to scream, "Listen, damn it, listen!"
Raji stirs in his bed.
I apologize. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. Can I ask something else?
Okay.
Why do you talk the way you talk?
What do you mean?
You talk like you're from a Victorian novel. Is that like something to do with the Asperger's, or?
My mother says it is. She says I used to repeat them without knowing what they meant. Sometimes I would quote these books at the dinner table, paragraphs at a time, but I wouldn't understand what they meant. So perhaps that has something to do with it.
Have you like seen someone to get you to stop, or?
Mother used to take me to social groups to try to wring it out of me, but I refused. You see, I want to show people that there was once such a thing as wit and intelligence and crafts in one's word. The way these authors used words, they knew how to use them to create tapestry with craft, wit, and verb. Do you understand me?
Yes. You're very passionate. I like that about you.
Can you touch me again? Anywhere. Even my waist.
Silence. A long, long moment. Joseph touches Henry on the chest, the waist. The two then lean into each other. They kiss each other. Henry leads Joseph to his bed, where they continue kissing.
Wait, Raji.
He's passed out, and he sleeps like a hibernating bear. And he'll be happy I'm with a guy.
If you say so.
Joseph goes in to kiss Henry.
Wait.
Henry pulls away.
Wait, before I forget.
Wuthering Heights.
It's by Emily Bronte, the sister of Charlotte Bronte, who wrote Jane Eyre. This one is much darker, and the characters are much meaner, but it's beautiful. I used to play a game based off this book back when I was in elementary school, but I was the only one who liked the game. It's the most romantic book because it's so violently passionate. It shows that love can't be loved if it's compromised. And that's what I believe, and I want you to read it.
Thanks. But I couldn't take your copy of it.
Oh, I have 18 others. It's okay.
18?
And counting. When was the last time you read the book?
Well, for pleasure. I don't know, like senior year of college. It was about an autistic kid, and it involved a dog, or...
The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime.
You've read it?
No, but my mother has, and she wouldn't shut up about it for a time. She wanted me to read it, but I scheduled myself to read all of Thomas Hardy's books.
It's really good. You should read it. Maybe it'll flip another light switch in you.
And maybe reading this will flip a light switch in you.
Possibly. But right now, in this second, I'm more interested in...
Joseph kisses Henry. He then goes to the light switch in the cabin.
Please finish your sentence.
Joseph turns the light out. Scene 7. August 2005. A restaurant. Henry and Marion. Henry is reading Jude the Obscure.
You remember Bryce Dellers? His mom came into the beauty parlor today. She said Bryce is doing really well. He's on the soccer team at school. She said he's only been the water boy so far, but he's showing a lot of spirit. Remember when you played soccer? How much fun that was?
I apologize, Mama. I wanted to complete this chapter. What did you say?
I was just saying, remember how much fun you had playing soccer?
You recall that I was the worst player on the team.
No, you were not.
That's what I overheard Coach Bear saying. Henry is the worst player on the team.
I'm sure you were just hearing things.
He said it to some other dad whose name I don't remember when he thought I wasn't listening. And then the other dad agreed. Then he saw me and their faces turned red. They apologized, but I know they weren't sorry for what they just said. That I just heard them. I thought you would have remembered. I did tell you about it.
Well, yes, some of those boys were really mean. But you got along with Bryce, didn't you?
Who's Bryce?
Never mind.
I'm going to my book now. Return to my book now.
Jude the...
Obscure.
Ah, I remember that book. I read it in high school. Thomas Hardy, right?
Yes.
Okay. Or was something else by Thomas Hardy that I read? What else did he write?
A Pair of Blue Eye, Tess of D'Urberville, The Mayor of Casterbridge, The Return of the Native.
Oh, maybe it was that one.
I wasn't done yet. The Woodlanders, Barb and the Maddening Crowd, which is my least favorite book of his.
Henry.
Desperate Revenues, Under the Greenwood Tree. His first novel was actually going to be called The Poor Man and the Lady. But his
Henry.
friends thought it would be too political controversial, so he burned the manuscripts.
Henry.
I'm almost done, Mama. He also wrote over poetry. I've read all his poems. I like his novel better, but that's because I find more novels much more to my interest. Two on a Tower and The Well Beloved.
Henry.
I'm done, Mama.
I asked you to stop 3 times and you kept going.
I wanted to finish.
Did I ask you to finish?
No, but
Could you tell I wanted to say something?
you were saying my name.
And you kept cutting me off. Social cues, Henry. When someone wants to say something, you let them say it. Didn't your social skills group go over this?
Yes, they did, Mama.
Then you should have learned this by now.
Yes, Mama.
And why do you call me Mama? Just call me Mom or Mother.
Why should I not call you Mama? It's the way people address the women who bore them. I mean, give birth, not induce for them.
And what's with this weird way of speaking you have? Why should I not? And much more to my interests.
That's how people talked in these books, Mama.
These books were written in the 1800s, Henry. We are not living in the 1800s.
I know, but just because I'm part of a society doesn't mean I have to speak like them. I find a dreadful lack of elegance in much of today's verbiage. People say too much when saying too little. And there are too many ums and uhs when a simple silence would do just as well. And will save one breath, might I add.
You've got to talk at other people's levels. Otherwise, you're not going to have any friends.
I care not about having friends.
What about when you start dating girls?
Who said I would be dating girls, Mama?
Oh, do you mean you're gay? Henry? Are you?
I pondered and I pondered how I wanted to tell you. I had hoped to press this topic would be broached in a more private environment, but I see that I will have to press on with what I have to say. Mom, I think I might be homosexual. Are you mad with me, Mama?
No. Henry, no, I'm not mad. You know, you could have just said, yes, I'm gay, right?
No. Gay means you're happy. Homosexual means you have romantic proclivities towards the same gender. They're hardly the same thing. Why are you crying, Mama?
It's just, I always knew that life was going to be so hard for you. When the doctor said that you had Asperger's, I just knew that things were going to be so hard. So I tried to make things as easy as possible for you. Things are going to be so much harder for you, Henry. You think I don't notice things, but I do. I saw how those boys on the soccer team treated you, and on the playground, and even those groups I sent you to. And I felt so bad for you. I just wanted to reach out and...
You're reaching out across the table now, Mama.
You're a good boy, Henry. You're such a good boy. And I really hope that one day you become something. But first, with the Asperger's and now with this being...
Homosexual. It's only a word.
Homosexual. I just worry. I worry so much about how things are going to be for you.
Don't worry about me, Mother. One day I will find a nice man who will keep me safe and happy for the remainder of my days.
I hope so, Henry. I really hope so.
Or at least will do something so kind, so generous for me that I can't help but fall in love with him. Like how Elizabeth falls in love with Darcy after he helps Lydia and Mr. Wickham. I used to think it was after she saw his house, but I reread the book recently, and she actually realizes she loves him after she sees he can be incredibly nice, not just to her, but also to her family, whom he barely tolerates at first. What? What is it, Mama?
I love you, Henry. And I really hope you find someone who loves you as much as you deserve to be loved.
And who will find me most tolerable.
I want you to find someone who feels more than just tolerance for you.
Perhaps one day they will. Now I'm going back to my book.
Scene 8, July 2017. The cabin in upstate New York, the morning after Scene 5. Henry wakes up. He looks at the floor to where Joseph has dropped the copy of Wuthering Heights. The book is gone. In its place is a note. Henry picks up the note and reads it.
Raji!
What the fuck, Henry?
Look!
Get out of my face.
It's from Joseph. He slept over last night. He and I also had sex last night, which I knew would make you happy. He let me inside of him. We were quiet because we didn't want to wake up.
Thank you for being considerate.
I told him I wanted to lend him my copy of Wuthering Heights, and he seemed like he wasn't going to take it. But then I woke up and found the book gone and found his note, and he says he'll give the book a chance. And he got this number.
How retro?
I'll have to call him.
You could text him.
No, I'd like to call him. It's more personal that way. And maybe he'll pick up and we'll talk some more.
Whatever floats your boat, Henry.
Hey, Joseph, it's Henry. I'm calling you because you left your number in a note last night. I wanted to call you so that you had my number. Have you started Wuthering Heights yet? Let me know when you started the book so we can talk about it. Whenever I read it, it usually takes me about 3 days, 100 pages per day. Sometimes I can get it done in 2. The part where Joseph speaks, you might want to slow down a bit. He speaks with a really thick Yorkshire accent, and Emily Brontë writes it that way, so you have to translate it in your head to get it. Or you can call me and I can translate it for you. Either way, I can't wait for you to read it and tell me what to think. Thank you for leaving me your number. I can't wait to talk to you again. Bye. It went to voicemail.
I figured.
Do you think he'll call me back?
He'll probably text you back more like.
I would rather have a voicemail. They're much more personal.
That they are. Oh. You're looking at your phone?
I'm waiting for a message from Joseph.
You mean you're not going to read a book? You're going to look at your phone instead? Look at you, becoming a millennial.
I am a millennial. I was born in 1990.
It was a joke, Henry, just a joke.
Well, it wasn't very funny.
Sorry.
You said he wasn't the kind of person who dated Raji, but maybe he is. We talked a lot about personal things last night, like his brother, who is also autistic. Did you know that about him?
No.
And he took my book when he could have just left it behind. Perhaps that means he'll want to talk to me again when he's done reading it. And when we talk, we'll want to talk more and we'll see each other more. And then...
What if he doesn't give it back?
He will. He must. It's only proper that he does.
Henry, stop and think of...
What fucking thinking do me now? Please, Raji. Please let me have this. I've never felt anything like this. Like the possibility that something could actually happen.
All right. But if this goes wrong for any reason...
I won't need your shoulder to cry on. I don't think I will need you for a long time. Because for once, ask me if I'm happy.
Are you happy?
Yes, 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 yes.
With every yes, the lights grow brighter and brighter. We hear switches being flipped upwards. Blackout. End of Act 1.
I had a feeling once that you and I could tell each other everything for 2 months. But even with our oath, with truth on our side, when you turn away from me, but it's not useful now. Since we both made up our minds, you're gonna watch out for yourself, and so will I. I think you're a contra, and I think that you lied. Don't call me a contra till you've tried. You wanted good schools and friends with pools. You're not a contra. You wanted rock and roll, complete control. Well, I don't know. Never pick sides, never choose between two. But I just wanted you, I just wanted you. Said never pick sides, never choose between two. But I just wanted you, I just wanted you. I think you're a contra, and I think that you lie. Don't call me a contra till you've tried.
Jane, a dorm room, February 2011. Henry is at his desk typing a paper. He has a copy of Jane Eyre next to him.
Happy Valentine's Day!
Valentine's Day isn't until tomorrow.
It's like 1 a.m. on the 13th, so it's basically Valentine's Day.
But it isn't actually Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is on the 14th, and it isn't the 14th.
Well, aren't you so correct?
Raji stumbles on the way to his bed. Henry gets up and steadies him.
Thank you.
Henry sets Raji on his bed. Henry then gets Raji a bottle of water, opens it, and gives it to him.
Thank you very much. You know, like, one of the reasons I love being your roommate is that whenever I come home back to the dorm wasted off my ass, you're always, like, there to, like, help me go to bed. You're, like, one of the few gay guys on campus who's actually decent. Like Voldemort tonight? I mean Jackson. Voldemort is the villain from Harry Potter.
I know who Voldemort is. I may not have read a book, but I know who he is.
So, like, Jackson texted me that he loved me yesterday, and then at the party tonight, he, like, totally ditched me for this girl. And he says he's best friends, but, like, there's totally something going on between them. Like, I get, like, if he isn't out, and if he's bi, then, like, great, whatever. But don't, like, take advantage of it or other people.
Why do you still see him if he makes you think of Voldemort?
Because when we are together, it's like, oh, it's amazing. Oh, like, Henry, imagine what Ken had, and multiply it by like 10 billion, and that's like what Jackson and I have.
Ken wasn't very nice to me.
Oh, he was so mean. 'Cause he wanted you to read a book that weren't Victorian. The horror!
You deserve someone who's at least nice to you, Raji.
I know. But I like mean people so much better. Don't you? And I've, like, decided not to like mean people anymore.
Ken and I only had sex once. It was a lovely encounter, but he didn't appreciate what I had to offer.
No. Henry.
Yes, Raji?
Henry! Henry!
Raji!
I'm so drunk.
Your spirit intake was quite high tonight, I can see.
Can you read to me?
Of course. Anything in particular?
You pick, as long as it's not scary. I don't like scary bedtime stories.
So Frankenstein is out. Duly noted.
I don't know why. I find that so funny.
How's about?
Henry goes to his desk to get his copy of Jane Eyre.
And if I had loved him less, I should have thought his accent and look of exhaustion savage. But, sitting by him, round from the nightmare of parting, called to the paradise of union, I thought only of the bliss given to me to drink in so abundant a flow. Again and again he said, "Are you happy, Jane?" And again I answered, "Yes," after which he murmured, "It will atone. It will atone."
Every time you read to me, I don't know what it means, but it's so nice.
It's from Jane Eyre. They're some of the most passionate words ever written in the English language.
If I knew what they meant, then maybe I'd understand real passion. Henry?
Yes, Raji?
I would totally ask you out if you weren't like,
If I wasn't like, please finish your sentence.
if you weren't like my roommate, I would totally ask you out.
Why?
You're like smart and you know what you want to do. I have no idea what I want to do, and it like sucks. Because in college, you're supposed to know what you want to do, and I don't.
You want to sleep with men? You do plenty of that. Certainly more than I.
Well, I want to do more than that, Henry. I want to like help people, but I don't know how.
You could be a gay male sex therapist. You know a lot about gay male sex.
You know, I like thought about starting my own vlog or something. I don't know though. Maybe you should start a blog or something about Victorian stuff.
Would you read it?
Oh, sure. Why not? I read Wuthering Heights, right? But like I was saying, I wouldn't want to mess up like the whole roommate thing, you know? You understand, right?
Yes, I do. Raji?
Henry gently removes Raji's head from his lap and gets up from the bed. He takes Raji's bed sheets and covers him with them. He then returns to his desk and continues writing his paper. Scene 10, September 2017. Henry and Raji's apartment's living room.
Hi, Joseph. It's Henry. This is the 15 voice letters I've left you in the past month. Like every other day to give you some time to get back to me. Which you haven't yet. I'm not mad. I'm just saying you haven't gotten back to me yet, and I can't wait to hear from you. I also wanted to check in and see how you were doing with Wuthering Heights. I can't wait to talk to you about it. I also can't wait to talk to you in general. I had a very good time in bed with you, and I hope we can repeat that. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. I said in my voice message 2 days ago that all the characters were unlikable, and that was why some people had a tough time getting through it. Not all of the characters are unlikable. Nellie's alright, she just finds herself in a tough situation. Anybody who had to deal with Catherine, the first Catherine, there's a second Catherine, but you probably haven't gotten to her yet, would be. There are a few other characters whom I don't want to name yet because I don't want to spoil the book for you, but they're likable. So if it's the unlikable characters that are bothering you, just know that they're not all bad. Also, that I left your voicemail reading all of Joseph's parts so you didn't have to do the translations in your head. I figured I would do that so that you can make the reading the book easier. There are some of the selection that people have the most difficulty getting through. So I wanted to make it easy for you as possible. So you might have been able to find an audio of him online somewhere, but I figured I'd leave you one because I thought that would be a nice thing to do. So you're welcome in advance. Until we speak again, thank you. Goodbye. I don't believe he's read the book. What could be taking him so long?
He could be a slow reader. He also could have forgotten about it. There could be a lot of reasons. And just saying, you've still been texting and calling him a lot.
How can I assure he'll get back to me?
You've seen my video about this, right? If you're constantly calling and texting a guy you hook up with it, and he's not getting back to you.
We didn't hook up. We had sex. There's a difference.
Okay, but if a guy I just slept with was constantly calling me to ask about a book I frankly had no interest in reading.
He wanted to read it. And I know because he took the book. And if you take someone's book, you give it back. And if you contact someone, you get back to them. That's how it goes.
Not always. Sometimes people forget to give things back or get things back to people. I forget things all the time. It's not a big deal.
It should be a big deal. It's incredibly poor manners. If Jane Austen were alive today, she would look down upon you most condescendingly.
I'm letting that slide because I know you're upset. But what Joseph is doing isn't exactly a crime. And besides, you have 19 copies of the book.
18 now.
It's still 17 more than the average person has.
It's still my copy.
Henry, okay, calm down. Joseph will get back to you when he gets back to you. And if he doesn't, then he doesn't. I know it's a big deal to you.
It's been a month. It takes me 1 week at the absolute most to finish Wuthering Heights.
Not everyone reads like you.
Well, they should. Then maybe I wouldn't be kept waiting so long. Maybe I should call him again and tell him how angry I am.
No, you are not calling him again.
What are you doing?
Deleting his number.
212-55-3904.
If anything, can you at least try not to call him for at least a week? For all you know, he might call you back in that time frame.
What if he doesn't?
Then he doesn't. Look, I'll say this. If he thinks you're calling him too much, then chances are he's not going to want to talk to you. I'm not saying this to make you feel bad, Henry. Just be careful. Hey.
I'm giving him as much room as I feel necessary. Contrary to what you think, I know what I'm doing in this situation. So kindly keep your unsolicited censoring to yourself.
All right. Duly noted.
Do not keep me waiting, Joseph. Please do not keep me waiting. Please do not make a Miss Haversham of me.
Scene 11. The summer house in upstate New York. The library. A few days after the previous scene, Joseph and another guy are making out.
I thought this room was off limits to hookups.
It is, but you're an exception to the rule.
I feel so special.
It's because you are. They'll leave in a second. Hold on. This room is occupied at the moment.
I've been looking for you.
Can it wait?
No.
I can go if...
No, stay right there.
Yeah, you're going to want to go.
What is it, Raji?
It's Henry.
Oh my God. Can you tell him to stop calling me? Seriously, it's been nonstop since I took that book of his.
Yeah, I know.
Have you heard some of the messages he sent me? Some of them go on for at least half an hour.
I can imagine.
No. He spent an entire voicemail reading passages from Wuthering Heights, saying that he was translating one of the characters or something.
Joseph, the character. I mean, he has a really thick Yorkshire accent, and Henry figured that it might be difficult for you to...
God, he's not here with you, is he?
No, he's back in the city.
Did he send you himself?
No, he doesn't know I'm here, actually.
So what, you've come on his behalf?
You can say that, yeah. It has been a month, Joseph.
A month without some stupid book that he has like 1 million copies of.
19. 18, technically.
Whatever! It's not a big deal. Unless he thinks I'm like in love with him. Oh God. Does he think that?
No, it means something that you took the book.
Okay, so does he expect me to give it back to him? I could do that. Here, I can give it back to you.
No, he expects you to have read it.
Well, just tell him I did. Tell him I liked it. I didn't want to talk about it. Stop blowing up my phone, all that stuff, okay?
You can't do that with Henry. I know he's like socially retarded, but you...
Wait, are you saying he's retarded because he's autistic? Because my brother's autistic too. It doesn't make him retarded. I mean, you really shouldn't use that word to describe anything.
You're right. I'm sorry.
I mean, you really shouldn't use that word to describe anything.
I mean more like Henry just loves this stuff and wants other people to love it. And honestly, Wuthering Heights is a pretty good book.
Did Henry force you to read it too?
I mean, yeah, but I ended up not minding. I didn't end up loving it like Henry does. No one can love it like he does, which is something I admire about him, actually. But I liked it. Look, just call him. Tell him you plan to read it. Read the damn thing and talk to him about it, and you'll be done with him.
What does it mean to you?
Nothing. Just, I don't want Henry to get hurt. He's really like,
Clingy?
no! More like, he has certain expectations of people, and when they don't fulfill those expectations, he gets a little edgy, you know? Maybe it's the Asperger's, I don't know. Either way, I've told him not to expect you to become his boyfriend multiple times. But I do think you should give the book a chance at least. I did a video about this, actually, about giving people chances and how they can lead to the best relationships that aren't necessarily romantic. And how people can surprise you. You never know.
You've grown accustomed to his idiosyncrasies, haven't you?
Yeah, I guess you can say I have. And maybe you will too.
If I knew I would have to read a book after having sex with them, I wouldn't have done it.
I've been asked to do shit for someone after having sex with them, so having to read Wuthering Heights after sex isn't the worst thing.
Can I at least read the Spark Notes version of it?
You will know if you do, trust me.
Okay, I'll read it, but you seriously owe me one.
You may proceed.
What was that about?
Nothing.
Is he like the hookup that won't go away or something?
Kind of. Random question. Have you read Wuthering Heights?
Total secret?
Yeah.
It's actually my favorite book.
Really?
Yeah, but like, I don't tell anyone unless someone else brings it up because no one reads that Victorian crap, but like, I love it. It speaks to like the dark part of my soul.
I'm thinking of reading it.
You totally should. And then we could talk about it like a book club.
Yeah, we could do that. But first...
Joseph and another guy make out as the lights dim. Scene 12, October 2017. A cafe. Henry waits. On the table are 2 cups and another one of his copies of Wuthering Heights.
You're 2 minutes late.
Sorry, subways are hell.
When you called, you said 2 o'clock. It's 2:02.
Well, better 2 minutes late than 20 minutes late.
I was 20 minutes early.
Yeah, well, I'm here now. Oh, thanks for the coffee.
No problem. I don't like coffee. I much prefer tea.
Makes sense. Because, you know, the whole British thing.
I can also just like tea.
True. Well, first, I want to apologize for not calling you back sooner. I got back from upstate and things at work just started getting... I mean, you know how it is. I'm sure PhD programs are crazy, too.
They are, but only if you get easily overwhelmed by the prospect of writing incredibly historic paper that only a select portion of the population are going to read.
Like that Jane Austen paper about autism?
Yes, you remember.
I did. How's that going?
It's good. Did you read Wuthering Heights?
Glad you asked, because... I did.
It took you 2 months exactly.
I'm a slow reader. But yes, I read all 300 plus pages of it.
And you didn't use Spark Notes or any of those internet sites that tells you what's going on in the story, did you?
Nope. I was actually able to follow the whole thing, although your Joseph translations really helped, actually.
Thank you. I know some people have a hard time with these sections, so I wanted to make it easy as possible for you since the Yorkshire accent's a little thick.
Well, it was definitely helpful. But yeah, so it took me a while for me to really get into, since most of us don't really talk like that anymore, no offense.
Okay.
But once I got into it, I was really intrigued by it. I mean, the atmosphere alone is like very dark, you know?
It's a great demonstration of pathetic fallacy, which is when the weather reflects the actions and the moods of the characters. The windswept moors are violent, vast, and easy to get lost in, much like the passion between Catherine and Heathcliff, both in their lives and after she dies. The passion doesn't die with her, it extends to the whole family.
Right. Well, I definitely found myself getting lost in this world. You know what it kind of reminded me of? A soap opera.
What?
I mean, you watch a soap opera.
And I've never watched a soap opera.
But you know what they are, right?
They're a trashy love story my mother watches.
But, like, they're all about love and betrayal, and they're super melodramatic and over the top. Like, the scene where Catherine slaps Harriton for calling her wicked Aunt Kathy, that's totally something that a soap opera diva would do. And I don't mean to describe this as soap opera like it's a bad thing. It actually really kept me involved. Admittedly, I had to look up the family map on the internet to keep everyone straight. So yes, I did have to use the internet while reading this book, but it was extremely helpful.
I was able to keep everyone straight when I read the book for the first time at age 8.
Well, clearly your 8-year-old self had a better reading memory than I do at age 28.
I also read more age.
Right. So all of that being said, I loved the first half of the book when it was mainly about Catherine and Heathcliff. I was reading up on some of the movie versions of this book, and apparently the one made in the 30s.
With Laurence Olivier and Mayor Oberlin.
Yeah, that one. It apparently ended when Catherine died. And honestly, I thought that was kind of a way better way to end the story. It kind of felt like a play that had a second act that didn't need to be added to a really good first act, you know?
But Heathcliff's love for Catherine doesn't end at her death. We need the second act to show how his love impacted generation further down the line.
I get that. But honestly, I didn't care. I mean, I cared, but not as much as I cared about Heathcliff and Catherine, you know?
But we also need the second half to show how Heathcliff tries to perpetuate his love of Catherine through his and her children, and therefore his cruelty, and how the cycle is broken. It is only when Heathcliff and Catherine and Edgar are all dead, and Harrington and Kathy, the daughter Kathy, gets over their differences and marry each other, is there finally peace at Wuthering Heights.
Okay.
And wondered how anyone could ever imagine unquiet slumbers for the sleepers in that quiet earth. That line still gives me the chills.
This other guy I've been talking to says that's his favorite final line in any book.
Does he like Wuthering Heights too?
He says it's his favorite novel.
How many times has he read it?
He told me like 6 times.
Only 6 times? I've read it 95 times. Actually, 96. I forgot that I read it another time while waiting for you to finish it.
6 times is still 5 more times than I've read it.
But it's hardly enough to constitute it as your favorite book.
My favorite book is that Curious Incident book. I've only read it once.
The Curious Incident of the Dog of the Nighttime. You can't even say the full name. I haven't even read it, and I know the full name.
So you're saying I don't love something just because I don't feel like saying the really long title of the book?
You can't love it that much.
Well, clearly no one can love anything as much as you love Wuthering Heights, or any other book from the 1800s, apparently.
You're right. No one can.
So why force me to read a book when you're not going to engage in a dialogue about it?
I can't engage with ideas that are trivial and imbecilic.
Because I compared Wuthering Heights to a soap opera? Which this other guy said was completely valid, by the way.
Soap operas are trash. Wuthering Heights is not trash. This other guy is an imbecile. That was not how Emily Bronte intended this book.
Then how did Emily Bronte intend this book?
I don't know. I know she got inspiration from her environment, since she loved the moor so much, but we don't know much about her. She was famously shy and reclusive, so who knows what she meant when she wrote Wuthering Heights? You don't know, I don't know.
Well,
Joseph pushes the copy of Wuthering Heights back to Henry.
You don't want to keep it.
I'm not going to read it again, anytime soon at least.
Henry takes the book and puts it in his bag, along with his other copy.
Did you feel a light switch?
What?
When you read Wuthering Heights, did you feel a light switch turn on?
You mean, did I enjoy it? Yeah, definitely.
And this other guy, does he make you feel a light switch?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd
Good
say
for
he
you.
does.
Good for you. I wish you to the highest felicity. I'm very disappointed in you, Joseph. Rosie told me you weren't the type of person who dated, but clearly you are with whoever this other person is. You just didn't want to date me. Do you deny it?
I just thought I should give you a fair chance.
Why?
Raji told me to read the book and to meet with you.
Raji?
And I'm glad he did. I mean, I read a really good book, so at least I got that out of this.
I once fancied myself in love with Raji. Nothing happened, but at least he gave me clear expectations that I could not expect anything more than he was already giving me. His intention could not be mistaken, unlike yours.
Look, I'm really not trying to be mean here, but Raji said that...
He told you to read the book and meet with me, yes?
Yeah, he did, but he also said...
Said, please, finish your sentence.
He said that you were socially retarded.
But Raji's my roommate. Roommates don't say things like that about each other. At least not good roommates. Why would one roommate say that about another roommate? It doesn't. No, it doesn't.
I'm sorry. I just thought you should know.
I must take my leave of you.
Suddenly, the cafe and Joseph disappear, leaving Henry alone in a spotlight. Scene 13. Henry in the spotlight. We begin hearing voices from the play, one by one, then slowly building on each other, creating a cacophony of sound.
Social cues, Henry.
I never wanted to be friends with you.
You know, shoulder to cry on and all that.
You're not really engaging in a dialogue.
I don't want to play with you anymore. I don't want to play any game with you ever again.
Because I compared Wuthering Heights to a soap opera, which this other guy said was completely valid.
Shoulder to cry on.
You have to talk at other people's levels.
Which this other guy said.
Retarded faggot.
You're impossible. You know that this whole night you've really just been...
Socially retarded.
Listen to my tone.
You know the only reason we were friends was because my mom made me?
Do I sound like I want to talk?
I can't even understand what you're talking about most of the time.
Social cues, Henry. You should have learned this by now. You should have learned this by now. You should have learned
this by now.
You should have learned this by now.
You should have learned this by now.
I would have totally asked you out if you weren't like...
If I wasn't... Just... If I wasn't...
Henry, darling.
Scene 14. October 2017. Marion's house in New Jersey. Henry sitting on the couch. Marion brings out 2 cups with tea for them.
Spot to afternoon tea, sir.
Thank you.
I gotta admit, I was very surprised when I got your text.
Why? You know I could conduct a text message for years.
No, not that you can text, just that you wanted to see me. Not that I mind, of course, but I'm glad you were able to squeeze me in. How's the semester going?
It's good. Busy.
And how's Raji doing? What's he been up to these days?
He's good. He said I was socially retarded.
What?
I heard it from someone. He said that I was socially retarded.
Are you sure this other person wasn't trying to, I don't know.
He was not. I believe him.
Have you talked to Raji about this at least?
No. He's too busy fucking every guy in New York City.
Didn't need to know that.
Well, that's what he's doing. You asked, I told you.
Too much information, Henry.
Well, he called me socially retarded, so who's the worst offender?
Henry.
He's right, really. As for you.
I don't understand.
All my life with you, it's been social cues, because you wanted people to like me. And I thought it didn't matter or wouldn't matter, but because what care I for social cues? Well, guess what? It didn't matter. And now people think I'm socially retarded. I see to you. Congratulations.
I didn't realize we were playing a game.
Well, we were. And I apologize for being a profound disappointment of a son due to my ignorance of social cues. That's all I wanted to say. I must take my leave now. Goodbye.
Henry gets up.
Henry.
I said what I wanted to say to you.
Sit down.
No, Mama, I'm taking my leave. There's nothing more we can say.
Sit down and drink your fucking tea.
Henry sits down and takes a sip of his tea.
Now, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to breathe and calm down. Then we can talk.
That only makes it worse.
10 seconds.
Mama!
I don't hear you breathing. Why don't I give you 10 more? There. Do you feel better?
No.
Drink your tea. Let me know if you want more. Whenever you want to start talking, I am all ears.
I can't turn on the other light switches.
What other light switches?
Other people have many light switches that allow them to talk about many things. I have the one only for 19th century British literature. It's the only thing that makes me feel incandescent. But it doesn't make other people incandescent. Actually, that's not true. There was this gentleman I was interested in, but am not anymore. I loaned him a copy of Wuthering Heights to read, and he read it. And he said it turned on a light switch in him. But I myself cannot turn the other light switch in him. He met another guy who does that. And I can't help but thinking it's because of this burden that makes me socially... just want to understand.
This guy you mentioned, the one who read Wuthering Heights. Can you tell me more about what happened there?
Well, we did something that I'd assume you'd rather not picture me doing. Then I lent him the book because I wanted him to read it. He took a while to do so, but he did, and we met up at a cafe to talk about, and it simply went horrid.
What made it horrid? You said he liked the book, right?
He did, but he compared it to a soap opera, which is not. It's art, and soap operas aren't. I know you love them, but they're not.
Sounds like he was engaged with the book. You could make a comparison like that, right?
I suppose.
Sounds like you were able to get someone interested in something you love. That's pretty remarkable, Henry.
But we couldn't discuss it. He thinks it's one way, I think it's another.
And you don't think he's allowed to have his own take on it?
He is, but does he really love it if he doesn't see it the way that people who love it do?
There's no one way to love something, Henry.
But I don't think he loved the book. He said he didn't like the second half. Or rather, he said he didn't see the need for it. How can you love a book if you only love a part of it?
It's like loving a person, I think. I loved your father. There were several parts of him that I didn't love, but I still loved the whole person.
He was an impotent bastard and left you.
Yes, but it's everyone's right to love or not love something or someone, whether we like it or not.
Are there any parts of me that you don't love? It's okay if there are. There are several parts of you I don't love.
Fair enough. Then yes, there are. But that doesn't mean you're not my son and that I don't want the best for you. You know, I was telling Sherry, you remember Sherry, right?
Shepherd's Sherry?
Yes. We were just having lunch the other day and she was telling me about how there are several parents who bring their children shopping with them who are really low functioning. And she can tell they're worried. And she tells them about her friend Marion, who has a son who is autistic and is not only living on his own, but also has his master's and is going for his PhD at Columbia. And it makes them feel better about their children.
But not every autistic child grows the same, Mama. Perhaps those fears those parents have about their children will come true.
Sadly, yes. But speaking for myself, when you were diagnosed, the doctor said you wouldn't be able to sustain conversation or develop strong relationships, that you would never be able to live on your own or drive or hold down a job. They said you would be very good at math, but not English.
Proving that doctors can especially be imbeciles.
Indeed. I spent nights worrying about how you would turn out. Would you fall in love? Would you have a family? A few years after you were diagnosed, you were 6 at the time, I took you to the library because that was the only place you wanted to go every Saturday. I signed you up for story time, but you were not interested in that. You would always sneak off to the grown-up book section. When you were 6, I remember, you pulled out a copy of this giant book.
The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins.
And I saw you just reading it in the stacks of the library. And you were sitting there with it so intently. And I thought, no way he's understanding it. But you asked to check it out. And so we did. And you read it that entire week. And every night at dinner, you would tell me what was happening in the story. You would quote direct paragraphs from the book to me. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So when we brought it back to the library, the librarian asked if I had enjoyed the book. I told her you had checked it out and read it. And the look on her face, I'll never forget it. You asked her what other books there were like it, and she suggested The Moonstone to you because it was by the same author as The Woman in White. And you read that book in a week too. And then the librarian suggested to you The Hound of Baskerville, and you read that. And then you started finding books on your own, like Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre and Pride and Prejudice and Emma. Do you remember watching that movie together?
Yes. You couldn't follow it, so I had to fill you in on the plot.
You had this gift of summarizing these really complicated books that no one your age could read. I may have gotten frustrated when you talked about them so much, but even so, I thought, perhaps my son could be a book critic or an English teacher or maybe a writer himself. And for the first time, I wasn't worried. I thought you could be something.
Until I told you I was gay.
Well, yes, I did worry about that, but I knew I had to be supportive, and I think I did a pretty good job in that regard.
You did. In the Victorian era, I would have been executed for being gay, or thrown into the asylum for being autistic, or both.
Well, thank God we live now and not then, right?
Yes.
I know you're not feeling good about yourself, but please know that I think you've turned out pretty remarkably. You are remarkable, Henry.
Thank you, Mommy. Do you still have the curious incident of the book in the nighttime? I mean, curious incident of the dog in the nighttime?
You know, as a matter of fact, does this mean you're really going to read it?
Yes, I believe so.
You'll have to let me know when you finish it.
I will. It's Raji. I'm not going to answer it.
He probably just wants to know where you are.
He's not earned the right to that information. Raji once told me that he would date me if I wasn't his roommate. Then he calls me socially retarded. Perhaps the real reason he didn't want to date me was because of my autism. Do you think so, Mother?
That's something you'll have to talk about with him.
I need to ponder this some more. I can't see Raji tonight.
If you really feel that way, you can stay here.
That would be the superior alternative.
I'll get you some fresh linens then.
Thank you, Mom.
Marion turns to Henry and kisses him on the head. Scene 15. The day after the previous scene, Henry and Raji's apartment's living room. Raji sits on the couch. He is watching one of his YouTube videos.
In all seriousness, what I'm trying to say in this video is give people chances, because you never know when you're going to be able to have that experience with them again.
Henry, where the hell were you? I called and texted you like 1,000,000 times.
5 phone calls, 7 text messages.
I almost called the cops to report you missing.
I didn't want to come back here.
Why not?
Because you...
Because I... Finish your sentence.
Because you called me socially retarded.
Joseph.
Yes, Joseph told me. It was most decent of him to do so.
I was going to ask how that went.
It went simply horrid, but I don't want to talk about that right now.
Henry, it just slipped out.
Please shut up and let me talk. I know that I'm not as good as guys as you are, or with people in general, and I know that I'm occasionally awkward and I talk weird to some people. But that does not give you the right to tell Joseph or anyone that I am socially retarded. You're not denying it, which subtextually speaks volume.
No, I'm not denying it. Like I said, it just kind of slipped out. I went upstate to ask Joseph to call you back because I knew it was worrying you. I didn't go there to talk shit about you. I promise.
Thank you for verbally confirming it.
Of course. What are you thinking?
I'm not entirely sure if I want to be your roommate anymore.
Okay. I understand that you're upset. I said something stupid. Yeah, but I don't think you need to.
It's not the only thing I've realized. I've realized quite a lot in the past day.
What do you mean?
When you told me you wouldn't date me because I was your roommate. At first, I actually thought it was because I was your roommate. But now that you said what you said, I don't suppose it was the sole reason.
If it's the night I think you're referring to...
The day before Valentine's Day, 2011.
I was wasted that night. I don't remember half the shit I've...
You said you wouldn't date me because I was your roommate, which I thought made sense, because it was common wisdom not to date your roommate. However, you were always off with Jackson or a multitude of other men, and never once did you ask if I wanted to be intimate with you. Not only because I was your roommate, but because I was autistic, too. Can you confirm my suspicion?
We were intimate, Henry. All those times you read to me when I was wasted.
Did you ever consider perhaps that I wanted another form of intimacy with you?
I did, but...
I was going to bring it up when we were no longer roommates. I thought we would come to some understanding, but then you moved to New York and asked me to be your roommate again. I've accepted out of convenience, and we settled nightly together, at least I thought. Even when you insisted on taking me out to parties where I would fall behind on my reading schedule.
I just wanted you to have some experience.
With other men, not with you.
I say, I'm sorry things with Joseph turned out the way they did.
It wasn't entirely your fault. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to start packing. I'm sure Grindr will provide you a plethora of prospective roommates, so I suggest you start looking now.
Henry?
What?
Did you always see me as the guy who slept around?
I did. I also saw you as a friend, and occasionally tiresome roommate.
Maybe I don't want you to see me that way anymore. Any of those ways, really.
What are you proposing I see you as?
Someone who could make you happy.
I do not understand.
I've always felt that if the circumstances were right, and maybe now, we're both grown up. We've grown used to each other, and now you're saying you're leaving, and I don't know if I want you to go. I don't want you to go.
Raji.
I miss you a lot, Henry. Most ardently.
Please don't. Raji.
Raji goes to Henry and kisses him square on the mouth. Henry, to his own surprise, doesn't fight back. They pull away from each other.
I understand if you haven't forgiven me for what I said, and I understand that you'll need time, but I'm willing to wait, Henry. However long it takes for you.
I don't feel that light switch.
Oh. Can you explain what you mean by...
I was thinking that this would be like Lizzie and Darcy in Pride and Prejudice. When she finds out how he saved her family from ruin and she falls in love with him right there. That perhaps you tried to salvage whatever I had with Joseph and I would fall in love with you instead. And perhaps the kiss would confirm our feelings. But I don't feel any of that, Raji. I thought I would, but I don't.
I see. I'm very sorry then for causing you this pain. It was unintentional.
Likewise. But now I must pack. You should keep this. I used to read it to you when you came home stumbling in an inebriated fashion.
Yeah, you're okay with that?
I have 15 other copies.
Thank you, Henry.
You can use the Spark Notes or any of those internet sites if you have trouble following the story. I won't care.
I'll miss having your take on them. Not gonna lie, when you made me read Wuthering Heights in college, I enjoyed your explanations more than the book itself. You flipped on a light switch in me. For you.
From what you're saying, it sounds like I was only able to switch it halfway up.
I just didn't want to do wrong by you somehow. Like, I didn't want to be like a Jackson to you. There was too much I didn't want to mess up, and I messed up anyway.
I've had a light switch for you, but perhaps I spent so long turning it off that it can never be turned on again.
Is there really nothing I can do? Okay. Well, at least I'll finally read Jane Eyre then. I'll miss you having to explain it to me, though.
No, you won't. Because I'll be starting a video blog like you do, except for 19th century British literature, not gay sex.
Really?
Yes.
That's really... I'll definitely watch it.
I don't suppose there's any way I can prevent you from doing so. Now I really must pack.
Scene 16. The scenery begins to open up. We see a park emerge. It is a bright, sunny afternoon in May 2018. Henry finds himself sitting on a bench. He is reading Morris by E.M. Forster. Alexander, another autistic man, enters. He sees Henry. He looks at him for a moment. Henry keeps reading. Alexander gingerly approaches Henry.
Excuse me. Excuse me?
Oh, I apologize. I didn't want to leave the chapter unfinished. Yes?
You're that guy from on the literary spectrum, right?
I am.
Okay. I knew I recognized you. My name's Alexander. I know your name already.
I suppose you do, but in case you've suddenly forgotten, it's Henry.
Wow, I never get to meet anyone famous.
I hardly consider myself famous. I've been doing these videos for 6 months, and you're the first one that has recognized me in public.
But still, I leave comments on your videos all the time. I'm Aspie Bookworm 1989.
Oh, yes, I do recall reading some of your comments. They were quite complimentary.
My favorite one was the one about Emma, where you talk about Miss Bates having autism. Can I tell you something? I thought that too. And I told my English teacher, Mr. Brown, that when I was in high school, and he said she was just a lonely but garrulous spinster, and that it was useless to diagnose a literary character with autism. But I always knew there was more than that. So thank you for confirming my suspicions.
You're very welcome. I always thought the Box Hill scene indicated it. Oh, very well, exclaimed Mrs. Bates. I shall be sure to say 3 dull things as soon as I ever open my mouth, shan't I? Do you not think I all shall? Emma could not resist.
Ah, ma'am, but there may be a difficulty. Pardon me, but you will be limited to as to number.
Only 3 at once. Mrs. Bates, deceived by the mock ceremony of her manner, did not immediately catch her meaning, but when it burst on her, it could not anger, though a slight brush showed that it could pain her.
I've felt that last part so many times.
As have I.
I've thought about what it would be like to meet you. I thought about messaging you, but never did.
Would have been nice to appear from an apparent fan.
What are you reading now?
Morris by E.M. Forster.
Are you going to be talking about that in video?
No, I only talk about 19th century British literature. This was written in 1912, but not published until 1971.
Why are you reading it?
I'm allowed to read books for myself.
Oh, I see.
I apologize. Perhaps that was a bit callous.
It was.
I most appreciate your straightforwardness. I find it most refreshing.
Thank you. It's because I have Asperger's syndrome too, in case you couldn't tell by my screen name. As I noticed when I was 5. How old were you when you were diagnosed?
I was 3.
Did the doctors think that you would never be able to do anything?
Yes, they did.
Me too. I said I would be terrible at English, but I'm actually an English teacher now, up in the Bronx. So fooey on them, as they say.
Good for you!
I teach American literature. My favorite book is The Great Gatsby.
I read that book in high school. It was okay.
Just okay? It's beautiful and tragic and
I was more interested in Elizabeth Gaskell at the time. She's the one who wrote North and South.
There's a lot you were missing with The Great Gatsby.
Yes, I suppose there was. I've only started reading books that were written past 1901 this year.
If you need a recommendation, I'm happy to give you one.
Thank you! Unfortunately, my leisure reading time is somewhat limited since I'm still pursuing my PhD.
I see. So I'm talking to the future Dr. Henry.
I suppose so.
Can I say something else?
If you must.
I confess I only started watching your videos because I thought you looked really handsome in the screenshot. Your videos do not do you justice.
Oh.
Oh, God. Oh, did I say something wrong? I went too far. I knew I would have gone too far if I said, I'm so stupid.
No, you're not stupid. It's quite flattering, actually.
I'm so sorry. I'm so awkward. I shouldn't have said anything. I'll stop bothering you now.
You're not bothering me.
Yes, I am. I'm socially retarded.
Do not say that. You are not.
Promise?
I promise.
So many people have told me that I was weird. I didn't want you to think I was weird. I thought you did, and
I did not. I do not.
The two men sit on the bench together.
thank you for your reassurance.
Of course.
You're easy to talk to. I really like that.
Thank you. That's not something I usually get.
You are?
Henry then turns to Alexander.
Are books your only light switch?
Light switch?
Light switch as in the thing that turns you on. I don't mean turn on sexually. I mean turn on as it provides a prodigious amount of interest to you.
Oh. Well, in that case, yes. Any book, really. I don't have a specific genre. I just like whatever.
I see. I believe I will take you up on your recommendations.
Okay. Well, I think you should reread The Great Gatsby. Perhaps there's a lot you missed the first time.
Indeed. As I recall, it wasn't particularly long, so I'll put that on the list.
Excellent. I also like anything by Andrew Holleran, Willa Cather, James Baldwin, Toni Morrison. I have many more, but I'll stop there so I don't overwhelm you.
Wow, that's a lot of options.
I know. It's great that we have so many.
Indeed. So many out there.
Henry and Alexander look at each other. Above them, more and more lights turn on. We hear their switches turning up. Then, when they've reached their maxim, blackout. End of play.
Are you afraid of me now?